I want to thank the Met Education Department for inviting us to curate this room and this event. And I also really want to thank the Word Up staff and collective, and also Roya Marsh and Sheila Maldonado for co-curating this poetry marathon that you're about to see. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Roya, who will then introduce half the poets. Sheila will introduce the other half. If you have any questions at all about Word Up or anything afterwards, come find us. Poets, come find me for, I think that's it. There's one more event happening at 4:30 p.m. It's a fiction reading. Whose latest book, Moon and the Mars. A significant part of it takes place in Seneca Village, which is the area of Central Park. Prior to Central Park, the neighborhood area that was bulldozed over for the creation of Central Park, but when there had been a lot of Black ownership in New York City in the 1800s, and a big part of her book takes place there. So we also thought it was important to to share that reading here in the space. Bronx, New York native, Roya Marsh is a nationally recognized poet, performer, educator, and activist. She's the author of Daylight and works feverishly toward LGBTQIA justice and dismantling white supremacy. Roya is the co-founder of the Bronx Poet Laureate Initiative, a Pan-America Emerging Voices mentor. In 2021, was faculty with Lambda Literary's Writers Retreat for Emerging LGBTQ Voices and the awardee of the 2021 Lotus Foundation Prize for Poetry. Roya's work has been featured in numerous places, including the American Academy of American Poets, Poetry Magazine, The Village Voice, Nylon Magazine, Huffington Post, The Root, Button Poetry, Carnegie Hall, the Apollo Theater, Lexis Versus and Flow, NBC, BET, and the Breakbeat Poets, Volume 2, Black Girl Magic. Find out more and help to support Black Futures at blkjoy.com. Introducing Roya.
And yeah. Hi, can everyone hear me? Word. In an ideal world, my theme song would have played as I was walking out. It's Biggie by Juicy, so let's just imagine that that's playing right now, because it was all a dream. All right. Before I say anything else, it behooves me to acknowledge that this museum, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and all of the other institutions are built on Lenape land. Our past, present, and future indigenous communities. Everything Veronica said about me is true. I am Roya Marsh. You're welcome. I'm super excited to be hosting this showcase here today. Please, if at any point you cannot hear an artist while they are performing, just raise your hand so that they know to lift up their voice. All right? All right? Although it is a pop-up library, so please feel comfortable making some noise, okay? That's the kind of noise I like. This is a poetry event. We're going to be hearing a wide range of topics today, all by some very, very incredibly talented artists. I'm blessed to be here myself. What I want to do is make sure that we know how to respond to poetry. So if you hear something that a poet says today, you can snap your fingers just like this. All right. If you hear something that a poet says and you enjoy it, you can clap your hands just like this. And when every poet's name is called, you can make some noise just like this. Woo! All right. Now that we've got our first poet for today, a dear friend, an incredible artist. Please, once I finish reading this bio, make some noise for my friend Elisabet Velasquez. A Brooklyn born Boricua and mother of two. Her poems are an exploration of her life. Her work is featured in Martin Espada's anthology, What Saves Us, poems of empathy and outrage in the age of Trump, and her debut novel is going to be right in her hand. And she's going to read from it, and you should all buy it. Make some noise for Elisabet Velasquez!
Hey y'all! My name is Elisabet Velasquez. It is an honor to be here. I just wrote a book. You can find it at Word Up. I'm gonna get right into the poem. If being Boricua in Bushwick is a feeling, it's the best kind. It's throwing your body in front of la pompa when the block is on fire. It's searching la basura for an empty Goya can to stab into a sprinkler system. If being Boricua in Bushwick is a feeling, it's chasing el tiracuero to have a cherry icy for you and a yellow de crema for mommy. It's buying trapper keepers from the 99-cent store on Graham Ave, Myrtle Ave, and Knickerbocker Ave. It's shopping on any Ave except Fifth. Unless Fifth is hosting the Puerto Rican Day Parade. And then you buy flags of Papitos Carrito and you plaster everything you own in it. It's the smell of arroz con gandula y una chuleta bien sazonada seasoning the hallway to el apartamento. It's talking to God. It's talking about God. It's the best bochinche ever. It's música del diablo blasting out of Honda Civics. It's música de Jesucristo blasting out of Pentecostal churches. It's buying pollo from el vivero instead of el supermercado. A reminder that something always has to die for you to survive. If being Boricua in Bushwick is a feeling, yo, it's the worst kind. Not worse like we wish we were anybody else. Worse like we know we're not supposed to be us. Worse like I can't believe mommy traded in a singing coquille for a roaring M-train lullaby. Worse like we gotta wait online for everything, especially our humanity. Worse like everybody in our hood is Puerto Rican, but ain't no Puerto Ricans in our history books. Worse like is history trying to tell us we don't have stories, or just we don't have stories worth telling. Worse like we belong to a missing people or something. Worse like we know our people not missing cause we find them every day. Worse like if I was to go missing, would someone try and find me? Worse like damn, I hope I never go missing. Worse like what if I'm missing right now? This is called Professional Spanish Knocks on the Door. Professional Spanish knocks on the door. And at first, we don't answer. Because knocks that loud usually mean 5-0 is on the other end. Señora, ábrenos la puerta, por favor. Estamos aquí para platicar con usted. No queremos llamarle la policía. The person on the other side of the door is speaking professional Spanish. Professional Spanish is like fake friendly. It's a warning. It's a downpour when you just spent your last $20 on a washing set. It's the kind of Spanish that comes to take things away from you. The kind of Spanish that looks at your Spanish like it needs help. Professional Spanish, of course, doesn't offer any help. It just wants you to know that it knows that you need some. Professional Spanish is stuck up, like most people from the hood who get good jobs. Professional Spanish is all like, I did it, you can do it too. Professional Spanish thinks it gets treated better than us, because it knows how to follow the rules, because it says abrigo instead of go, because it knows which fork belongs to the salad, and which spoon goes in the coffee, because it gets to be the anchor on Telemundo and Univision, and we get to be the news that plays in its head in the background. Thank you.
Okay. Something very important that I need to remind you all of. We're saying poems in the Met right now. The next artist up, Jennifer Falú, is a graduate of Pratt's MFA Writing and Activism program and works full-time as a social servant and teaching artist, a Cave Canem Fellow. She is published in several anthologies using her writing as activism work. Please make some noise for my sister, Jennifer Falú.
How are you?
Well.
Good.
Hell yeah.
I was just asking because
I looked around with a kid.
I didn't know. Just a little clarity. So, since we are in a space of our ancestors, or what once belonged to our ancestors, I would like to read 2 poems for 2 of my ancestors who have gone on extremely young. This poem is dedicated to Shimani Makiba Gibson. What to say of the girl with the big fro and the perfectly crooked smile? What to say of the twist, the quick weave, the box braids, the Halle Berry short, the honey brown, jet black? What to say of the platinum blonde? Her mama said she was born of fire, guns blazing. I say she is a thing you cannot hold. What to say of the peacock? What to say of a vibrant color? Sable say she the calm. Sasha say everything there was to know about regality and grace I learned from her. Olaremi say it could be a room full of people and still it could be like no one was there. Omari say, I don't think I can handle the quiet just yet. What to say of a heart that found a new home? What to say when home is not here? Auntie Umi say, I don't want to hear nothing about God's time. I would like to know why we did not get a miracle. Nita say, you know how Daddy had us on those strict diets? Well, she'd pick us up from school and give us everything we wasn't supposed to eat. I mean, we had pizza, we had fried chicken, we had snacks, we had soda. Silly say, I wanted to be able to show her that I graduated and now I can't. But Najaya said, I know she's watching me, so I'm gonna do it for her. But I'm gonna do it for myself too. So I said, we will put our foot on the world's neck in her honor. Say, we will never forget. Say, we will always remember. Say, we will choose the awakening and clear our energies and love who needs to be loved. In her name, we say her name. We speak her name. We say her name. We speak her name. What to say of Makiba? Say, if you've ever known the power of an ancestor, of what can rise from the ashes, of what the water can clean. If you've ever known Himayah, if you've ever known Oshun, the dust, the clearing. If you say, if you've ever seen Nomo split herself in 2, split herself in 4, have you ever seen a woman pray her way to freedom or work her way to freedom, manifest her way to freedom, and the words sharp with intention sail out of her throat? What to say of a body that would tremble until the wrongs were right, until it got you together? What to say of a mouth that could read you, that could gather you, sis? Don't play with me, beloved. What to say when you pull into the bend of the will of the Lord? What to say of the called and the calling of Esther and Deborah and Ruth, of a girl after the heart of Miriam? Oddly say, I couldn't help it. I just knew we weren't supposed to be under her when she played Mary, all round belly and full of pride, all leaning on Joseph in exhaustion, all pit bull in a denim dress. What to say of a death where God provided no resurrection but still handed us a son? Well, Jasmine said, Shamani wanted to live, and she wanted me to live too. So I'm gonna do just that. And my final poem is dedicated to a young man by the name of Bashar Baraka Jackson, AKA Pop Smoke. Somewhere There is the spirit of a colored boy. With 23 days left before he sees heaven, but 17 not with us. A colored boy, head padded like the L train, tracks on tracks with alabaster teeth and a trombone throat. But also, here lies a colored boy, who even in the empty knew his mother was coming. Here lies a colored boy who even after the empty knew we were coming because he belonged to us. Still, in spite of, because of, life after death, Notorious or Nipsey or Malcolm or Baldwin or Bashar or Bismillah, bringer of good news and good news. So this poem is for the duality of colored boys. For the ones who drink Henny during communion, who turn wine into whiskey because the chest burn reminds them of a pierced side, reminds them of a crucifixion, reminds them of Father, forgive them what they know not what they do, of women, behold your son, reminds them of 3 days later. This poem is for my niggas whose cup runneth over, so they pour some out for Jesus and throw some back for the homies, for the colored boys whose beauty is incomprehensible, for Baraka, a divine connection. A blessing, the Sufis say, a power that only God can grant or withhold. And look how we prove that God is a colored boy, and how we mourn him accordingly, and how we praise him differently, and how we don't look like what we go through, but we still won't have joy. So look how we win. Look how we brought our pain and made it tribe. Look how we locked arms. No, when you see a colored boy, you see a war cry. No, when you see a colored boy, you see a Holy Ghost and the Holy Ghost, an apology and alhamdulillah, let me fix this. Here is my son. This poem is for the colored boys who set claim and personify. He lives in me, body and in body. Katachi, this poem is for the warriors who the church discarded because the finger bend became too much. For the colored boys who pray, even when God is the weapon formed against them, who are the only reason that some colored boys survived or thrived or returned, for blessed is the man who fills his quiver. This poem is for the colored boys who don't listen but keep their ears to the streets, who don't always come home but know where home is, for the colored boys who are so done with death they refuse to die. So here lies a colored boy whose voice will live forever. So press play for the colored boy who refused to die. Press play for the colored boy who refused to remain small. Press play for the colored boy so bright with rebellion because he knew his father was coming. Here lies a colored boy who knew he was God. So press play, press play, press play. Ay, ay, ay.
All right now, y'all. That was incredible. But don't be breathing on my microphone. I'm so tickled at the fact that somebody said niggas and Hennessy at the Met. It was really great. It was incredible, honestly. We're here now. The next artist, we've been following each other for a hot minute. But today is actually the first day we were ever able to embrace each other. He's one of your favorite poets. If you have social media, you shared one of these damn quotes and memes. I know you did. You was having a bad day, and you boosted yourself up, and you swiped left, and you was like, oh, I'm tired of these dating apps. Let me go in here and get my soul fed. And you was like, Joe L. Daniels. Is a writer, author, performer, and storyteller. His work has been featured in the Columbia Journal, the Boston Globe, Black Voices, Thought Catalog, Philadelphia Printworks, and Blavity, and mad other spots. This is the most important line of this bio. He lives in the Bronx and is a father of 2. Please make some noise for Joel!
Hey y'all, this is beautiful, y'all beautiful, yeah, I'm mad nervous for no reason, this is wild. This is called Poetry Will Save the World. I'm Everything in the world feels like it is burning. This is not Burning Man, a new TV show, a plan for a diet infomercial. We are all in this boat we had no plan to be in, watching the shore and wondering what's next. The questions we ask, all clinging to answers tied to science, rooted in vaccinations, in GoFundMes and donation pledges. Our faith has left office and now sits with R&B singers and Hollywood power couples. We are dancing for salvation, painting for salvation. We are performing and doing acrobatics in our living rooms, holding handstands. We are in churches, masks over our noses, praying for a Bible to come from the front row with a benediction, thinking it will rain on us, an offering at our feet so thick, so deep in pedagogy that it will misdirect whatever is falling from the sky. In all of this, we can see the religion beautifully encrusted in the hands of the artists. In the hands of the artists. The ones who are alive when things like government, like AIDS, like SARS, like atom bombs and Jim Crow and internment camps tell us to stay home. When concentration camps and bickering between parties becomes podcast press. In these times, art has been the beacon. Right there, laying on the surface of it all, is a poem. There is a poem in everything. I have seen it happen often, the scattering of words that happens when we have been afforded the time to be amongst all of the jury. The days get to bend with poems. They get to take shape in our hands into specially crafted molds that take everything we find insufferable and put it into a language, our language, into a context we get to understand on our own terms and embrace. This is where the poem ends and we begin. I have read poems about suffrage, about Pokemon, Pokeballs, about bowel movements, about hand sanitizer and couch cushions, about being comfy and being a cougar, about being a coon, about being negligent, about rape, about race, about radical love. All those things have a reason to live, to exist. When the world became cold, poems and their alphabets still resonated. Still pictures of us borderline everything on the DSM scale, but making it poetry. People are dying. They are hurting while worried about their futures, about their pensions and the pennies never saved, the voice notes never sent. How can they reconcile that? We are all wronged, all ducking the drowning that happens when the drought is over and the overboard becomes as heavy and as weighty as the idea of floating away. It is then that we can pick up the dusty pen and notepads and search for the meaning behind whatever is shaking us down. When I was poor, poems made me feel as if I didn't have to be. It doesn't matter because of my voice with its rhyme, reason, and color. Poems are genderless, genreless, odorless, and subdued doubt. All of the joy that truly binds us together is gently being seen in the margins of a poem. We can look at the dust on the blinds, the curtain drapes, and the luster that happens when the sun comes in just before your afternoon coffee drip runs. I've seen poems happen in elevators when no one thought anyone was looking. Poems scribbled in bold on the tongues of strangers, in headphones inaudible. Poems dragged to the front of the bookshelf by the back of their hardcover spines. The prettiest of poems I saw in high school in English class. The first time I heard the word pixie and fairy used in anything but a Disney show was out of a white girl named Anastasia's mouth. Her language was Dylan and Fiona and grunge. It was dirt under nails and the balls of her feet and sweet clementine on the palate. There were Drew Barrymore type A girls in my drama classes too. And Black me was confused. I could hear dishes crashing and breaking when they read, and I thought I never heard words crackle under someone's jaw, from someone's knuckles. I had been reading Nas. I've been studying Jay-Z, memorizing Joe Budden before he became a millennial menace and a jackass. I was reciting Jadakiss and Andre Benjamin like English lit. Poetry changed my world then. The first time I heard Carlos Gomez talk about words as weapons, as Gaza, as Palestine, as borders, I knew flesh was incomparable to script. Saul Williams made me want to slam everything. My notebook, my job, my father, my abuser, my exes, presidents, city council persons. Nikki Giovanni made me want to call my mother, to fuck everything, to be a black man like the ones I saw in Jim Brown's pupils. Sonia Sanchez wanted me to make love, to make planets, to make my bed but with ginger instead of blankets. Jack Kerouac made me want to learn American. Alan Ginsburg made me want to be un-American. Carmen told me rap is a chapbook. All the poems were all different as my classmates, as my friends, as my bullies, as the gang colors we memorized in the backs of our composition notebooks, the ones with the multiplication tables by the metrics. We would mutilate ourselves with poems. We would remember our slave masters with poems. We would cry to R&B songs, talk to hummingbirds, travel to palm trees, rub palm oil on everything with poems. Poems taught us how to talk to girls, how to talk non-binary, how to bring someone to your mother, how to learn the way your mother crocheted her way through life, made a machete out of all the moons they could. All of these poems matter to me, they matter to us now more than ever. Every poem is an opportunity to re-examine what we are pulled toward, what we are trained to see, what triggers them to shoot at us first and read rights later. All poems, tiny poems about humans, about ponies, peonies, things hinged on what we will opine about later. Ugly poems, bright poems, big poems, small poems, all confronting problems, as contorted as those problems may be, and holding them to the light. Poems have pierced our ears, have nursed our parents. When I wanted to die, I wrote a poem instead. Then I wrote more poems. Then I read poetry. And even the things that didn't make sense reset themselves. Poetry has saved my life, has saved many lives. That is not changing, will not change. So please, write all the poems now and often. Break them open with your teeth with a pen. Take them from the pit of the stomach and shout them out. Make them loud. Poetry will be our greatest soundtrack. Our ears to the streets, my nigga. Soapboxes replete with box sets of the latest and greatest in street corner church revivers. From porno turned photo all-stars. From those that study genetics and the laws of tea and pottery. Poets grow stems, do STEM research, make masks, wear masks for safety, for optical illusions, do makeup tutorials, get titty lifts, deadlift essays and shine shoes. Poets will clean and cling from windows, practice hanging time, hang themselves from balconies, from branches, will hang their art on their cars, on their graves, on their teachers' tombstones. A poem is a dancer. A seed in a pomegranate, the eruptions in Pompeii. Poems, they are pompous, derivative of the bourgeoisie and the burden. Poems are about pussy, about politics, about anonymous people and the private parts they love. The world is changing, poems are not. Poems, still deified, still dying, still dripping in the sweat of our ancestors. Poems, you see, are slain dragons. They are saving us, even still. Poems will save the world.
Joel, we're gonna have to talk later. Fine, I'll just adjust it for myself. It's fine. No, I got it now. I figured it out. Look, I claimed it. Now, if they make me pay for this. All right. This next artist coming up is my homie. My brother. This was like 15? 20? We was already, listen, I was doing shows in theaters with this man because I thought that's where I was headed, but I wasn't. It was a lie, but it was fun, and we're gonna do it again because we got to talk about real black stuff in real famous theaters, and that was really, really nice. That was my Met before the Met, but now we at the Met. You see what happened? Modesto, Flako Jimenez is a theater maker, producer, and educator. Flako is best known for his original productions, produced with his company, All Day Group. In 2018, he became the first Dominican-American lead artist in the public theater under the radar festival. It doesn't say anything about Bennington and Brooklyn in this bio, but it is all good. I'm gonna shout my brother out. We got into a lot of good things together, and we got into a lot of bad things together, but we made it out both times. Please make some noise for my brother, Flako! Hey, when you put this up, just put it back down.
consider myself a baby poet. I love theater, and that's my game, but I like writing poetry for the stage, so I got something. Look, I'm already nervous. Elizabeth is looking at me. Ay, Dios mío. Part 1, invitation. Arcoiris the Dreamers. We invite you, seriously, simple request, entra. Nuestras puertas están abiertas. You haven't killed our humanity, we can still breathe, even con tu presión en el cocote. Watering those cracks into arcoiris, we must pass by space, water, and time to really see our resilience from slavery, dictatorship, y deportación. Remember, we stay Oprah dreaming through it all. Hi, Celie. Bienvenido to our rainbow, nature's greatest accomplishment. All the colors debajo del sol, where the turtle wins without hurting the rabbit, making birds chirp summer shine. Mira nuestro arcoiris, the dreamers. Everything must not be a debate, a political statement, a stand to your cracker barrel ass. Can I breathe? We must all see nuestro arcoiris, that self-invitation to clarity. Esa alegría con nuestra inner azúcar salsera, ese amor furioso. Dale kindness a tu inclusiveness y llénalo de compasión. Te invito to your arcoiris sin colores. We all know it's hard to face. Imagínate abrazar your unknown. You must stay at your true colors, from the red Tara plantation soil to those Yankee blues. Where are you really from, Americano? Tell us about your history. Blanco is not a place. Do the work. Nike that shit and just do it. Mama Mercedes and Ahmed go through it. Mi gente, miren a los arcoíris que ellos invitan, que gatan lentamente. Antes de aceptar su mic check su dance, check su dribble, check su lanzar. Cuidado with them cuckoo contracts. Stop inviting us to our arcoiris teatral, to our past tétrica trauma. Stop asking POC for certain colors. It's our choice to write about it. Esos momentos esperpentos, eternally embedded on loop. Nuestra vida, un baile sin parada. Do the fucking work, Blanquitos. 400 years hasn't taught you that you can't break our spirit. Este melanin es magia bacana, Afro-Latina, Caribeña, Americana. Is that what we get those grants, arcoiris? Staring at your rainbows in color, constantly visiting our trauma for your pleasure within our sanctuary spaces. Esos pisos negros, llenos de colores que pintamos. To put pomade on bruises, then shine in front of you, then wash it all out in the dressing room, because remember, every nigga is a star. I love shooting down and watching on YouTube, slowly nowadays. I invite you, mi gente arcoiris, to not forget that every check is part of your melanin being sold, helping them stay rich, stay woke, in those seasonal plush seats. You invite us to disrespect the arcoiris, myself, you, our humanity, constantly for a stipend check. Those days are done, loco. How does a futuro get imagined, arcoiris, if we don't start to detallarlo ourselves? Comenzar a pintar el canvas, planting positive blossoming light, painting those blocks llenos de brilliance. Start small, don't rush. Remember, refraction has happened, arcoiris. The white light has scattered through it all. Deseado y no deseado. Ha tocado todo. It has not seemed us without force. Tienes que bailar en esas aguas y simply accept. Entonces sigue pintando ese arcoiris with more positive images of oneself, that beautiful vision of what we are, where we could all be going. Pero todos debemos pasar por el rainstorm, and your lapel is looking mighty dry, my G. We must flourish, blossom out this constant drought, arcoiris. Let us never forget that the cacti stores agua. Ya sabe. It has to go past the desert sin cambiar su paisaje. Drink. Échale agua a tus roots, arcoiris. Nunca olvides tu proceso. No pierdas el constante querido arcoiris semillita. A beautiful vision to come up with such magic. Know that the best time to see the arcoiris is always going to be after the rainstorm has ended. Drop invitation. How to make a nuevo arcoiris. Your turn. Start. Comienza.
How is everyone doing? Alright, I think that noise means everyone is doing alright. Got a couple more poets coming up in my block, then I get to introduce Sheila, who is going to introduce the next 5 incredible artists. So, with the same energy you gave our first artist, I need you to give these following artists. I didn't say anything yet. Let me, okay. Just one second. PJ, it's your turn, go. You ready? It's your turn. Make some noise. Never ready. It's a spoken word poet and has performed her work at the Schomburg Center, Sarah Lawrence College, and the Apollo Theater. Make some noise for that. Tapped back into her long-lived passion of singing and songwriting and is learning about film and video production at the City College of New York. Make some noise for that. And make some noise for this artist that she makes her way to the stage, PJ.
For the past few weeks, my son has been having the hardest time trying to conceptualize death. Tonight, right before he falls asleep, he decides that he just won't die. I pull his body to mine, close my eyes, and pray that we sync up so I can borrow from his dreams tonight. Subconsciously, you can always find me sweaty, frantic, raving, trying to conceptualize God. You see, I don't bother trying to understand death because I stopped living the moment I hit this crossroad where my concept of God started caving into itself like pillar candles lit and left to die or bad origami. I undo the folds and find it's flat. No intricate details, no tangible salvation, just flat. And knowing that, I cannot refold the illusion, God. So, I work on my Venn diagram. In this circle, he is my maker. In this circle, he is my master. He is my friend and father. He is my ruler and king. The one who loves me for who I am. The one that desires I be what I am not. After I exhaust my mind with all the possible contradictions, I lay my body down, squeeze in between and surrender, smack in the middle of this paradox where love and coercion settle like oil and water. Coexisting but never joining, this is where I wrestle in my sleep. In this cocoon of confusion, my Venn diagram could be mistaken for a butterfly. Evolved, but at a standstill. Why? Wings clipped by the idea that I was not made to be this free. This fly moves counterclockwise. The girl just wants to run free, but the girl moves through life paralyzed by the fear of some final confrontation where she and God are mutually disappointed in the other, where sacrifice and self-harm answer to the same name, where violence is the vehicle by which we meet love, where unconditional doesn't register as a concept. After we wake up, my son has forgotten all about death, and I will pretend to forget that I don't know God when I tell him, wait, let's pray. We should give thanks for this new day, to which he'll say, pray to who? God? And I'll say, sure.
I feel like she was trying to play me, because she's not even that tall. I'll be wild. All right. Hello. Excited to be here. Thank you all for listening, for engaging, for enjoying, for being a very attentive audience. This is an incredible artist who's about to come up, who I've had the ability of crossing paths with, of working with, of, dare I say it, mentoring. This poet is a writer who is currently serving as the 2021 Youth Poet Laureate of New York City. Northeastern Regional finalist for the 2021 National Youth Poet Laureate title. You can make more noise for that, because y'all ain't never did that. Y'all wasn't doing that. You never did. All right. Born in Singapore and raised in Queens, she is a first-generation Chinese-American immigrant, and her work reflects her myriad of identities and moves toward our collective liberation. Make some noise for Serena Yang!
Hi everyone. Thank you, Roya, for the introduction. Roya was the poet in residence at Urban Word MIC for many years, so it's true. I owe everything to Roya Marsh.
Let's go!
So this is a poem that I wrote last October. It's October again, the Libra season. So I thought I would bring this back. Louder? Yeah. Is this good?
Yeah!
All right, this is self-portrait of my poems as the fall. Every day the birds come to knock their beaks against the glass, thinking it air. Every day my pen scratches over the water-stained pages of my notebook and thinks itself a vein. My blood turning to ink, a measured spillage, call writer's block a blood clot. In January, I lay with my legs lifted above my heart, my knee an impatient swelling, veins pushed close to the surface. My skin a thin sheet of river ice. We call this healing. Last week, my friend asked me my plans for the fall. Before I could answer, she said I meant the autumn, not, the end of everything. October shakes summer loose in a shower of brown leaves. My mother's cucumbers wither away and the wicker basket hollows in our kitchen. One day, a baby bluebird dashes itself against the glass, then another. This one a few days later, and less blue. After the third, we draw the curtains so the birds will stop mistaking our home for the world. After the fifth, I realize the birds only come when the light goes. 2 summers ago, I was a child. 2 summers ago, I dreamed I leapt off the edge of the world and discovered flight. This October, I am as old as the brown tree, roofless and stolid beside my mother's cucumbers, and still a child, and still so fond of the dark. What are your plans for the end of everything? I mean, the turning of the seasons. I tell my friend that I will spend the fall writing my small blue poems, but this time I am thinking of a long life, of what happens when the ink dries and all there's left is to lift the swollen limb above the heart and wait for blood to run home. Every day the birds come to press their bodies closer to themselves, that smudge in the dark glass that looks like a ghost limb, one you didn't know you'd lost until it appears as reflection, until what you see through the window is not a home or the world, but only the dark. And there, your own image. My poems dream of a likeness in the glass that becomes real even as the body retreats and carries away its heart. Sometimes I mistake glass for air, blood for ink, the fall for the fall. Sometimes I am a bluebird that forgets. Another poem, so I'm going to share another short poem. This is a love poem because I got very attached to love poetry over the past year and I decided to write a few of my own. So this is poem number 3. In my last year of high school, when everyone was always looking past each other to the nearest fire escape, I could not look away from your face. I spent all year staring into the sun, meaning every time I saw your shadow, an old bruise on my left shoulder became a spool of twine unspooling around a small fire. I did not call this a crush until it was already over, when I no longer knew if I loved you or if I was Fear is something I can name. I've spent so much of my life running that I grow nervous in front of mirrors. A girl who loves a girl is a redundancy. A girl's love should always turn outwards. A girl's love should be for everyone but girl. Girl is a mouth that does not know its own tongue but swallows anyway. I unspool carefully, around and around. I wonder if the sun is watching me back, or if she is only burning herself a new face. I have survived small burns before. They make creams for that kind of thing. I've made my own shadows dance before. So why should I be afraid of the sun? Thank you.
This is a bilingual pop-up shop sponsored by Word Up Bookshop. You can make some noise for that. I speak a couple languages. Speak English, speak Spanish, speak Ebonics. I code switch very nicely. That's how I tricked y'all into bringing me to the doing. I'm going to close out my section before I introduce this incredible artist, Sheila Maldonado, who will then introduce the rest of her credible artists. One of the most important languages I was raised to speak is hip-hop. Yes. We've been hurt, been down before. When our pride was low, looking at the world like, where do we go? And we hate po-po, they want to kill us dead in the streets for sure. I'm at the preacher's door, my knees get weak and my gun might blow, but we gon' be alright. My name is Roya Marsh, and I am a black poet who will not remain silent while this nation continues to murder black people. I have a right to be angry. I have a right to be joyful. And black joy is real, it's native, it's not white, it's here before that. But for God said, let there be light so y'all could witness a glimpse of what you've been missing. Black is not a color, but absorbs all the colors of the visible spectrum and reflects none. Joy is a feeling of great pleasure or happiness. Black joy looks like me, like him, or her, or them. It knows no gender, just knows prosperity in spite of white supremacy. Black joy is a stone, worthy of digging, of excavating, a coveted jewel, to be held up to light, to sparkle, to dazzle. Black joy knows this poem is necessary, no matter what your judgment says. Cause you can't tell me black joy won't break any scale, you put it on shit. You can't tell me black joy ain't the scale itself. Black joy is contagious, so contagious, folks got caught appropriated. Caught pitting black against black, a joy against joy, a Remy against Nikki, a Cardi against Nikki, a Reed against B, cause healthy, wealthy black folks just got too close to God and they only wanna see us black and joyous if they made us that way. But they cannot create black joy the same way they created race. They cannot dictate our blackness, they cannot dictate our happiness, and yeah, it's true. Once you go black joy, you'll never go back. Ask the Kardashians, those black holes, make the staple of black joy. Remember, black and African. In 2016, we bid farewell to this nation's first happy president. February, but now Hollywood still don't cast happy people to play unhappy selves, and yet another happy body is found slain. All the more reason to preserve this shield, this force field to fortune. No hot commodity to be bought or bootleg or hiding kid shot brainwashed when you're happiest, when your mouth is open. Be your blackest when your mouth is open. Shout it at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Shout black, shout joy. You remember, white supremacy is a beast that feeds on attention. Be happier, be hungrier, starving, leave it nothing but the bones. Sheila Maldonado. That's what you get. Brooklyn Arts Press 2021 and one bedroom solo fly-by-night press, a gallery of the tribes 2011. She is a Canto Mondo Fellow and a Creative Capital Awardee as a part of the Desveladas, a visual writing collective. She teaches English for the City University of New York as an educator. She was born in Brooklyn, raised in Coney Island, the daughter Alto, Manhattan. Make some noise for Sheila Maldonado.
Wow. Spectacular. A true honor to be here, not just in the Met, but with Word Up. It's because we're here that I'm happy to be here more than anything. I've been here a million times alone, so happy to be here with all of you. I'll be introducing the next 6, 7 people, actually 7 with me. Roya, that was amazing, and you're beautiful. It's just beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm really not pleased with the murkiness of the sound, so I appreciate that you broke the space. Can you hear me clearly? Yes. Okay. And then the light. Anyway, it's an amazing place to be in. It's also full of conflict, and that's all I think about when we're in here together. But I'll be announcing the next 6 or 7. I'm going to read a little myself, and yeah, I'm just going to get to it. This is from That's What You Get, which is a book out now, and it's given me purpose, even though it's about purposelessness in a lot of ways. But thank you all for being here with me. This is called Temporary Statement. I am not poignant. I am losing nuance. I beat you over the head. I am cliche. I am a caveman, cavewoman, a cave. I am not genteel or radical. I am pissed. I am not always specific. I am beat. I am losing steam. I leave image with image and word with word. I take too many pictures. I'm literal as fuck. I bully my way through a text. I barrel my way through that Neanderthal thing again. I resist understanding. I understand because I resist. I've forgotten how to break a line. The line breaks me. I use I too much. I do get that the I on the page is still not me. I do get that. I don't know if you get that. I don't know who I am in this time. I've lost a great love. I'm suffering a terrible leader. I don't know where to turn or who to be. I'm looking for my days to reacquire some rhythm. I can't be kind in the morning. I can't be kind. I am mourning. I miss touch. I miss conversations I had in the past. I miss the conversation I had with my past. It is leaving me. I don't mind erasing. I want to know who to address though. Fascinated being in this room because it's a Spanish room right after the conquest of Spain. It's a Moorish, like when they kicked the Moors out. This is what this room is. And then I'm also fascinated to be in the Met with the Maya in the lobby. There's this amazing Maya sculpture, 2 of them, that have never been in that part of the Met before. It's amazing stuff. So I'm thinking about the Maya, I'm thinking about Spain, I'm thinking about all the things that my family from Central America are from. So this is about the Maya, me imagining myself as a Maya scribe. It's called Window on My Part-Time Employer in the One Building That Was Once Two. This is me as a Maya scribe, but really as a fact checker in the World Trade Center. Window on my part-time employer in the one building that was once two. I'm writing to the building of writing that is continually giving us the boot. Writing alone can't hold it up. I want to say writing created it, but it might have just assisted. And yet writing is its own building. Writing extends the building. I'm from a long line of building extenders, a line that was broken. The line can be broken. It can be outlawed and driven out of town. The word finding refuge in the mountain, the mouth, the memory. It can be fired and replaced, a thread erased. It can't all be put down. It rises up, an ancestor told me. A few ancestors told me that. I will telling you to rise up. But as a present-day person, I tend to lay there. I've been thrust from the building of letters, syllables, characters. They're scattered, and I lack the will to gather them. It is fine to lay among them. Let them scramble. Eventually, I will get up and put them together again. It won't be like I imagined. It will be. Immediate postscript. For a minute there, my keyboard stopped working. I was talking out about letters and they wouldn't come. I did not lay calmly. It was not a calm, it was a panic. I'm wrong to say I could be so calm. I would fight for a while. I would fight to get back to the letter, to get back to the building, fight to make a new one. From my journal when I sat in here, and then I'll introduce the rest. It's just very quick. This is Spain breaking. This is the Italian Renaissance in Spain. It is not Spain. Spain, a place to break, a place of breaking, of reconquering, reinvention, conquest as identity, the most rigid, undefined. I want to know the room I'm in. I can break in this room. It is one thing being another, a fake, a beautiful fake, another math, not Arabic, Roman. In Game of Thrones, this is Dorne, the southern countries. Who am I? The nymph punished by a god and made into a fountain by a goddess. That's that right there. The captive crushed by the queen, slave or god or king. That's one of the Maya sculptures outside. Is there someone in between? Could there not be then? You served, a submissive, serving, crushed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here, guys. You could be in here forever, of course. I'm gonna read Randi Hoffman. It's gonna be the first of my readers up. It'll be Randi, then Gabriel, then Thaddeus. I'm gonna get it wrong. So let me just do it in order right now. Randi Hoffman is from all the wonderful downtown poets and writers that I've dealt with as part of Gathering of the Tribes. And I will read her bio. She's written art reviews for Tribes, which I'm also an editor for. Downtown and American artist and nonfiction for places like Home, The Zen of Mothering, and After the Clouds, The Sun. She teaches at Hudson County Community College, like so many educators here. Thank you for being here. Randi Hoffman.
Thank you, Sheila. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, I'm honored to be among so many talented writers here. So mine is about ordinary life, or trying to go on with ordinary life. It was in this anthology, New Year's Day anthology, After the Clouds, The Sun. So hopefully that will be soon. So this is called Pandemic Laundry. It's about the laundromat in my neighborhood. Washing laundry is one of my least hated homemaking responsibilities. Mainly because once I put the laundry in the dryers, I get to go to the gourmet grocery store 2 blocks south, where they have excellent coffee and flaky chocolate croissants. And the coffee is free with the croissant. I can then savor the croissant and coffee while folding the laundry. Although my 25 apartment, 100-year-old tenement building is becoming more and more gentrified, there's still no laundry room in the building. According to the building manager, this has to do with the difficulty of making the basement reachable through a perilous metal staircase, handicapped accessible. So I put the laundry in a cart and walked the 5 blocks to my preferred laundry. There are closer ones, but I like this one because it's new and clean and has several large folding tables. The people who work there speak Spanish. The man in the front, who also speaks English, can fix machines and solve most laundry problems. Young women in the back listen to music and wash all of the drop-off laundry. The customers reflect the neighborhood. An older Latino couple always arrive together with their shaggy, tiny white dog, who sits in one of their laundry carts. They are friends with a strikingly similar younger couple, who will also bring their small dog to the laundromat. The women may or may not be mother and daughter. There are pairs of young white female roommates in leggings and loose gloves. The neighbor, covered head to toe in tattoos, always asks me about the family. I'm told he rents out his apartment as an Airbnb, and so always has a lot of sheets and towels to wash. Doing the laundry has always been an oasis of organization for me. So imagine my surprise when I arrived at the laundromat a few weeks after the city had closed most businesses due to the coronavirus epidemic. Things looked normal from the outside, but inside I was met with a shock. The folding tables were all pushed to the back, and the plastic chairs bolted to the floor were gone. The laundromat was busy and crowded, but not its usual calm. The people were hyped up and upset. I was wearing a white cotton face mask, but I had forgotten my hand sanitizer. I divided my laundry into hot, warm, and cold loads and started the washers. Usually then I walked 2 blocks to the big neighborhood supermarket, grabbed the day's groceries, and returned to put the clothes in the dryer. However, Key Food was now letting in only 25 people at a time. There was a line down the block of people, everyone in a mask, standing 6 feet apart.
Hi, y'all. I was over there like, why should I got talking like I'm sensitive? Why do you have to do that? Because I am. I haven't performed in a while, and it's like difficult to, you know. Oh yeah, can you hear me? Alright, cool. Alright, got you. So, yeah, it's only hard because, you know, I ain't trying to write this. I stayed in bed and cried something righteous, thinking about all the ways I done messed up, all the people I hurt, all the people I love, all the ways that I let people in and get pushed out. Because I hate being people talking about anxiety. Got my heart racing therapist and just to meditate, I sweat and forget que yo necesito una copa de agua y bendiciones de mi abuela. Cariñoso, feeling ain't no soul left in me. See me smiling, don't think to check on me. See me wildin', missed calls to 4:45. How you spend your money is how you spend your night. How you spend your days is how you spend your life. So how you spend your life? Tired of all these tattletales talking tacky. Never held a gun, swerving their glass teeth. When you ask them how they feel, they can't speak. Truth got them scared if you ask me. Truancy, the only thing on their rap sheet do must be a carbon copy for the industry. Never that. Goofy cat, rocking pink hoodies, riding emo rap. Sad stories, yeah, I'm good with that. Dead relatives ain't coming back. Most alive, and my flipper pants not touch the stage unless I do my nails. Heavy footed, keep the trails, perpetrating eating kale. They say I'm anxious, I say I'm with it. Don't know what the difference is inside me, a bunch of differences. Am I nice or am I rude? Am I tight or am I cool? Got my friend or got my food, tell the truth. Say I'm chilling. Fake news. In your area, if you got shot, you will carry up. If you see me, don't. Don't say what's up, don't call me bro, don't want your love, not you. Easing my anxiety with Palo Santo, need that medicine, smoke, tight pronto. Paper bowls and bonds make me fronto, never discriminate. How my lungs got incinerated. Remember in white wine is how I medicated. Now I'm chewing vegetables while I'm meditating. Tired of procrastinating, niggas die while they waiting. I'm a fighter, I'm a writer, I'm a rapper, I'm a diet, I'm a garden, I'm a writer. Lavender oil, if you want to try it. Stop talking like y'all some mobsters align your chakras. I'm just trying to get the truth to body together. Because I am tired of yelling. Of having my voice be heard on male, black, Dominican. I've been taught to take up space, but no one ever told me that I could be a garden, could be soft, and smell good, and bloom at volume. People usually walk past, usually lavender, mango cocoa, or pink sugar oils are how people remember me. How the air becomes an antidote, becomes the search for the scent that filled their lungs with flowers, with what reminds us we too can be a home for breathing and blossoming joy. And the heart hugs that follow, they require us to hug with the left sides of our bodies so that our hearts face each other while we all take a deep breath in Exhale together. Exhaling everything that tried keeping us from being here in this hub, this holy place that has no heaven except for the other person. For this intimacy is in no need of romance, in no need of a false future promise to one another, but the promise of this hug ending when we are both ready to face the world, ready to face the streets brimming with ghosts and so many things to say goodbye to. Nobody ever thinks how hard it is to be in a garden, to be what people can come home to and hold space for, even when the sun is still facing west, and we all just know how hard it is to just be ourselves, moving through the world, like me, thinking how hard it was for my father. A garden ending at the root, at his bipolar, his depression, his alone. And I blame his absence for not letting me show him how to water himself into what heals. What kind of son am I to think what is my father's isn't mine, isn't genetic. I carry his loneliness. It isn't loneliness, but the choice to ignore the world. Thank you.
Thaddeus Rutkowski is another favorite from downtown, from Gathering of the Tribes and other folks downtown who make these marathons. This is sort of the inspiration for the marathon, was marathons like the alternative one in New Year's Day, and I've always seen him there and love to see him here always. He's the author of 7 books, most recently Tricks of Light, a poetry collection. His novel Haywire won the Asian American Writers Workshop Members' Choice Award. He teaches at Mentors Members. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. What's in the name? The name is Thaddeus, but the choice of the name was ill-advised, I think. No doubt my parents wanted something classical or something radical. Oedipus and Orpheus would not do, and for some reason Theodore and Thelonious would not either, so my father decided. My mother, it seems, did not have much say in the matter. She picked Shyanne, which means little forest, and sounds something like her first name, Cheyenne, which means good tidings. But I don't go by Shyanne. What I go by is a little stranger. To many people, I am Thad, which is easy to spell and fairly easy to say, unless you think it's fad, as in OFAB. I'm glad they put real borax in you. My first and middle initials, JT, are even easier, so I use them when I make reservations, arrange for deliveries, or sign my name on lists. One of my old friends calls me JT, except for the times he calls me Stud. Other times, people call me T-Bone. Some of my friends think T-Bone is too casual, but I like it better than Fazul or Pube, which are the nicknames of other guys I know. I have not been called Tadpole for quite a while, but an old girlfriend used to call me A-Tad, which was short for A-Tad Stoned. Some of my close relatives still call me Tad, but so far, no one else has adopted the shortest form. When I meet people and tell them my name is Thaddeus, they say, that sounds like a biblical name, or that sounds like a 19th century name, or that sounds like a plumber's name. Sometimes my new friends shrink my name to Chatty, Teddy, or Patty, or Chad, Ted, or Pat. For a while, people in my office confused me with another Asian guy who looked like me, called him Thad, and me Henry. My last name is no less problematic. Rutkowski just does not fit my face. At times, however, To my great surprise, I pass for Eastern European. Someday I might change my last name to my mother's maiden name and become Mr. Wong. This is pictures at an exhibition. Pictures at an exhibition. Went to the art museum to see some Van Gogh. Dropped ecstasy at the first water fountain I could find. Looked at crazy landscapes, jagged lines, swirls, sawtooth patterns. Van Gogh had some unresolved issues, I can tell. Also saw some paintings by a guy named Chainsaw or Kaim Soutine, gnarly stuff, tortured portraits. Got into an internal Picasso debate. You know, you say Picasso, I say Picasso. Then wondered, what's the difference between Monet and Manet? Got nowhere fast with that one. Then got into that old abstract expressionist demonic. Newman shut the door. Rothko pulled the shade. Reinhardt turned off the light. Very soothing, but sketchy. Saw a piece called Lady with Urban and wondered if it was the last Weasel painting. Found out Chagall died long ago and couldn't believe it. Got into some heavy denial. Then accepted the death as sad, but not as sad as if it had happened yesterday or to a close relative. Listened to a tour guide talk about repressed anger and the relative merits of paintings vis-a-vis blank walls. Sat at the Egyptian temple and felt the ecstasy really take hold. Thought about that architect who designed that glass pyramid in Paris and wondered, if I am Pei, who are you? Tossed a coin in the fountain and wished for domestic bliss. Tried not to look anyone directly in the eye, because if I did, they would know about the ecstasy, of course. But there were some young women I couldn't help looking at. In fact, couldn't help stalking from gallery to gallery. Felt like I was walking on clouds. Also felt like a criminal. Found my favorite statue, White Slave. Nice demure bondage. Smooth surfaces, skin-like effects. Went back to stalking, but all my original targets were gone. Found my way around the balustrade, the colonnade, and the balcony. Looked for God in the details, but saw only the devil. Then noticed all eyes were on me. Went out basically the way I came in. Thanks.
Thank you, appreciate it. That's what I expect from downtown stuff. Thank you. Lydia Cortés is up next, and she's one of my all-time favorite heroes of mine from downtown that really, I don't know who I'd be as a poet without Lydia, really. And I don't call you I get to call you she is, what is her bio's name? Not what I need to say. I think the lady is the best, is what it is. She's from Williamsburg, Puerto Rican, just the finest lyricist, just so many like abstract and experimental and then lyrical. One of my favorites, Lydia Cortés.
Thank you, Sheila, so much. And thank you, Word Up. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Christina. And I forgot the other names, but thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here. Learned in my mother's kitchen. June 27th, the last day of school, when things are celebrated. Endings are celebrated for the oxygen and the liberty that accrues when the breathing returns and all seems content. Maybe I just need a vacation and it will work out, because today feels like the last day of school, when learning commences and the night binges of magic will once more begin. Oh, what shall I say when someone asks why I try to talk all fancy, as if that's the way I learned in my mother's kitchen. She stirred the beans constantly, staring only at the pot, really hardly saw me there by the table. And I was so quiet as she said nothing to me. I wondered what she thought, and that kept my mind busy and not so very afraid. I was a good girl, except that sometimes I lied. I made believe everything was okay because I didn't want to be noticed as the crazy one I knew I was. Mommy was a little crazy sometimes and barely talked. My father and sister talked, making sense always and seemed safe. Except when he was sleeping, my brother rocked on our sofa, on our velvet sofa, as if the sofa was a rocker he was on, but he was off his. He rocked till he made a hole in the wall. Plaster turned to powder, fell on the floor, and behind the couch, the slats of wood that used to hold up the paint and the plaster were exposed. The wall over the plaster was painted shiny turquoise. I hated the intensity of that turquoise, but most of all the shine and the shame. None of my American friends have ever put up with things like that in their home. With a mother not crazy enough to know that her son was a little more than crazy. Later we learned we could hide him in the back room if we had to, when new friends came over. We were all in it together like one big happy family. Still, my brother never learned to talk. He only made weird sounds and holes in the wall. But when still little, maybe 8 or 9, he seemed almost normal, abnormally beautiful, with big yellow eyes, hair golden curly, and all rosy. My mother, my sister, and I were on the greenish tinge of skin. My father was so red he could have been an Indian, and maybe there was that in him, some Taino or Carib. I couldn't take my brother for long, especially when he got older and went through his changes, got bigger, stranger, stronger. We all go through changes when we get ugly before we get pretty again if we're lucky. But he fell out the window of our second-story kitchen and smashed his nose flat into his lovely face. The screams of my mother were hard to take too, and I was afraid, not knowing what to do. Thank God for my sister, me, afraid to look out the window and see what he looked like. Mommy had gone to throw out the garbage, but just to make sure he wouldn't lose her, as usual, he leaned far out the window so he could see her as she fussed with the cans. But he went too far. Out he went, out of our yellow kitchen. He flew out to join Mommy in the alley. I never thought the shiny paint on our kitchen wall was so bad. Somehow it was happy yellow that they had chosen. People know they're supposed to be happy. People can choose, so they say. People aren't happy when they make believe if they know they're making believe. Is Milagros more than a name? To know, to hope, to believe, to be, to breathe, to run, to hide, to lie down and die, to stop, The baby says, go, car, go. The car goes. The baby grows inside the belly. The baby grows if it's let live, help a little. With a little help from my friends, I could make it with just a little eye. I want to write with just an ear, an eye, and a little help from my head. I. Holy water, holy Jesus, Holy Ghost, Madre mia, Ave Maria, Madre mia. The sun, always shining, never not shining over the little house. One or two windows, a small door, one or two flowers in the foreground, a tree with 3 or 4 apples, and an S-shaped path leading to the door. My house never varied. It was all very normal, like happy endings. That's how I was taught to make them.
We got a couple people left, and just again, I really like to have a diversity of people, just switch up all just everything, generations and styles, and that's what poetry is to me. Next up is Cheyenne Figueroa Bennett, who to me is a great hope, like for the future of all this poetry stuff. I just love. I first heard of her through Gato Mundo, and she's done stuff with Central American writer collectives that I know and love, and I'm really happy to have her here. She's a Brooklyn poet with roots in Panama, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico. She earned an MFA from Columbia and is a Fulbright currently in Panama. Please welcome Cheyenne Figueroa Bennett.
Blush cloud memory. dust upon hands and feet. There for the face when they're digging. Leaves are tough, bones in the dirt. Come rise with uno lips, come chat. Hands reach up, knees bucket up, flesh to flesh, tether yourself. Dry bones, sawdust, gather at a joint of steel locks, unlocking locked voice and voices. May hold the dirt, speak to the dirt. Silver man among dynamite heads, crackling chorus. You don't hear me when they speak patois to you. Me wonder if you think they're chatterbacks. Me wonder your name, their name. How many burnished bronze body, amber and ground. Stiffened like stems, the ground carries flecks of flesh, unseen hands to blemish the corners. Soil the edges, trouble the waters with black burning skins.
Yes, of course not, because Peggy's coming. You gotta be loud. Peggy's coming. We're gonna wrap this up with the greatest, Peggy Robles-Alvarado. I mean, you just gotta, hit it with the bang. Peggy Robles is a force of nature. We only live in her world. And I really do live in her world. I live in Washington Heights where she grew up, and I haunt where she haunted. She is an epic force of nature and has won all the things this year and should have. Is a Jerome Fellow, a Dominican and Puerto Rican Jerome Fellow, thank you. And she's always a blessing, endless blessings. Magic means not from in their house. Thank you, Peggy. Come on up, Peggy Robles-Alvarado.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Word Up Bookstore. Thank you, Sheila Maldonado. Thank you, everyone, for being here and staying for this reading. I'm going to tell you right now, it's very difficult to read with a mask on. Everyone who's been up here, you've been wonderful. Shyanne, you killed it. Let's rewrite the national anthem.
Let's go.
Give it a thunderous drum bass that circles the heartbeat core of the earth. Resurrecting native tribes that heal with hoop dances. Reclaiming fertile lands as birthright. Give it the steady hum of a Negro spiritual. Toppling monuments of Confederate soldiers pulsing the ground with a path to a new freedom chant. With true justice and peace. Give it a hook that's straight up fire. Scorching the earth of plantations turn posh wedding destinations, letting each flame birth a new forest of trees, whose roots and leaves have never been soaked in blood. Give it some mariachi violins and trumpets, pulling heartbreak from the deepest part of the belly into an that can reach waterfalls, reuniting children with their parents seeking asylum. Give it some Congo Square Bambina rhythm, some Lower East Side bomba con madrina, with men pivoting to wide-hipped women in white skirts who know Puerto Ricans are citizens too. Give it a 3-2 son clave, ba, 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 with accented immigrant lyrics, seasoned code-switching stanzas, multilingual verses that sound best when we sing them off-key. Give a sweet, fried plantain remix, a barrio basement hooky boardy grind, a deep tribal house that buckles knees and pulls star-spangled flags
true soul of America, built with black and brown hands that can really sing. Esto aquí be the land of the free. This be the home of our brave. So I'm going to do this piece because this comes from everybody who told me, because I speak Spanish. And every time I was shamed for it, I want to remind myself that I'm at the Met. Speaking Spanish. The questionnaire asked me to indicate my primary language. I checked off other, and in big, bold, blue bubble letters wrote in Spanish. My Spanish carries a Gillette under her tongue, ready to cut you if you say she's the sister of ghetto Spanish. My Spanish drops the S to make it ma o me. Switches the R with the L para no botar la suerte. Trills her R's para que no pique rastreo. And if you question the placement of her accent marks, she will replace them with sideline. My Spanish gets in trouble for falling asleep at church and winking at altar boys. Climbs the fence at high which rule to swim after hours. My Spanish burns her eyeliner in a lighter before applying it. My Spanish can't stop sucking her teeth. My Spanish knows the difference between coquito and limbe, paterito and empanada, frio and piragua. Knows how to carry the weight on her thighs and on her shoulders. My Spanish cooks farina, tembleque, habichuela con dulce, arroz con leche, calls it all comfort food. My Spanish knows that like lemonade, tamarindo was a popular drink and it still is. Knows every Prince, Hector Lavoe, and Fernandito Villalona song by heart. My Spanish wants to be called sexy, not cute. My Spanish wants to be called smart before sexy, not cute. Wants to be called beautiful, like the white girls her ex parades around the hood to show how he has moved up and on. My Spanish mends her broken heart with bachata cortavena de franrey. She gets drunk to bolero del booty. My Spanish always claps when the plane lands safely. My Spanish thinks fresca, presentar, y malcriado all compliments. Married her cousin to help me get a green card. Won't let her kids sleep over anyone's house. My Spanish has crooks and cops sitting at the same table at her daughter's quinceañera. My Spanish earned a college degree and summa cum laude in the resting bitch face while riding the 2 train. My Spanish is Washington Heights before the gourmet food markets replaced Seatown. Before drinking a beer in front of a building playing domino was considered loitering. Before the New York Times and transplants from Minnesota discovered Peggy on BuzzFeed and renamed it Stuck Pot Rice. My Spanish is inward before it became more affordable than Williamsburg and was renamed Northern Manhattan. My Spanish spray painted over billboards trying to rename El Condado de la Salsa, the Piano District. Wonders if it would have made more sense to name us the Bombay Plena District, the Homa Hip Hop District, or the Boogie Down District. But my Spanish is certain that the Bronx has always been, will forever be, art. My Spanish knows that fire escape is also a terrace. My Spanish knows there is no other way to heal without sana que sana culito de rana. You can't tell stories about a campo translation. You can't flirt using proper grammar. My Spanish knows there is no other way to say coño para me good. My Spanish has a tía sin papeles. My Spanish has a tía that works in a factoría. My Spanish has a tía that takes care of neighborhood carritos. My Spanish will never call herself broken. My Spanish is an unwanted child who insists on being born. She is huérfana, crying an unpaid debt of Commonwealth to mainland lost in a promesa. She is leche cortada of impoverished madre patria and starved island retreat. She's the unruly second-generation daughter of an American and unstandardized. She is the endangered tongue of a sanctioned homeland. Y un barrio cabrón. My Spanish is always trying to create a bridge connecting Quisqueya, Borinquen, y un verano en Nueva York. My Spanish is a scared 7-year-old Miss Marcy tells me to sit in the corner. Every time my tongue resists pressing jewel into you. And yes, into yes. Insisting mommy's homemade lunches are better than cafeteria food. Certain that standing on a roof is the only place I have ever seen stars. My Spanish as an abuelito, whose primary language is storytelling, but she doesn't have the time to sit and listen. My Spanish can't understand all his concerns, but feels exactly what he means when he says, "Te amo, nena. Te amo all the way." Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peggy. Epic, of course. Of course. Perfect. I'm just all choked up today. Ryan, come on up, please. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Veronica, for inviting, for putting this all together.
Thank you, everybody. We said words and we finished early. Thank you so much. Round of applause for yourselves for being here, for making noise, thank you for all the poets. Please check out Word Up Community Bookshop, so the ones that change our lives, and the quote